Okay, Algebra 1, Topic 9, covering solving quadratic equations, right? Very much tied into quadratic functions, but now we're looking for our solutions. So again, graphing. Desmos. This is your standard form for a quadratic. Ax squared plus bx plus c equals 0. Better say equals 0. Okay? So then, when you graph this, you could have 2 or 3 situations. 0, 1, or 2 real solutions. So let's just look at this real fast. So if there are no real solutions, that means that your parabola would not touch the x-axis, like so. Right? Completely above or completely below. If there's one real solution, what that means is the vertex is that solution. So it kind of comes down, grazes the x-axis, and touches it. That would be your solution, which is also the vertex. And then the most common example is this one right here. Right? We have a parabola where it crosses the x-axis twice, right? So these ordered pairs are called your x-intercepts, right? X-intercepts are the same as the solutions. So the solutions are just the 2 x values. You could also call them the zeros. So they might say the zeros of this function, and those would also be x equals -4 and x equals -1. Okay, so zeros. Gotta say equals 0 though. Once it says equals 0, you just simply take the function and you graph it, right? So when I have it in this form, I would take the function f of x equals whatever my ax squared plus bx plus c is and find where it hits the x-axis. That's all you gotta do. Now, if they want you to solve by factoring, if it's in factored form, right, like this is, and it said equal to 0, yes. Then you set each factor equal to 0 to solve. So this would be x plus 4 equals 0. X minus 2 equals 0. Oh, I'm sorry. X minus 2 equals 0. You would then here subtract 4 on both sides, so x equals -4 be one of your answers. You would add 2 to both sides, so x equals 2 is the other answer. And you notice that there are also the x-intercepts, right? So -4 is 0 and 2 0 are your x-intercepts. So you can still graph it, right? But notice that this first equation had an equals 5. They moved the 5 over. So now it says equals 0. It's got to say equals 0. Okay, we're skipping 9.3. We didn't talk about that. So that's all good. We're also going to skip 9.4. 9.5 talks about completing the square. So we could see them having you complete the square. So let's just go over an example real fast. So I'm going to use this right here. So if they give you like x squared plus 14x and they want this c value to complete the square, right? This is what you have to remember. b over 2 squared. b over 2 squared. 14 divided by 2 squared in this case. This is the b value, right? That would be 7 squared, which is 49. This would then be your c value. That would be the answer they're looking for. So x squared plus 14x plus 49. Now, they might want you to go as far as to factor this, right? Well, the reason we do this special b over 2 squared is because this now factors into 2 identical parentheses. To get x squared, x and x. The middle sign is the sign, plus and plus. And then to get 49, it's 7 times 7. Since those 2 parentheses repeat, you can write it as x plus 7 squared. So one of these might be the answer to a problem involving completing the square. But again, just have to remember the b over 2 squared part. All right, 9.6 on the quadratic formula and the discriminant. So again, I don't think they're going to ask you a specific quadratic formula problem. This formula is on the state reference sheet. It's on the formula sheet. So that's nice. The discriminant is the part inside the square root. The discriminant does tell you about the types of solutions. So I don't think this is going to be a question, but we'll go over it anyway. So if the discriminant is less than 0, that means you have no real solutions. That's the situation where the parabola does not touch the x-axis. If your discriminant equals 0, that means you have one real solution. That's where the vertex is going to be your solution. And if the discriminant is greater than 0, that's where your parabola touches it twice, the x-axis twice, you'll have 2 real solutions. Again, I don't think they're going to ask you for a problem like that. Now, I could see them, again, needing you to do this right here, right? So once you have your numbers plugged in, you're going to then break up this quadratic equation using the plus or minus. And again, the idea here is that you have 2 solutions, right? Potentially 2 solutions. Again, you can also just use Desmos, and it can give you the estimated solutions like we do down here. right? So there are two solutions. You would just hover over, and it would give you the decimals 1.78 and negative 0.28. And then last but not least, if they give you a system of nonlinear equations, so again, typically it's going to be a linear equation and a quadratic equation. So we're not going to use elimination or substitution, we're going to use graphing. And this is very much Desmos. So when you look here, there could be two solutions, one solution, or no solution, depending on how many times your line crosses your quadratic. Again, this is the typical situation where your line crosses your quadratic twice. So from topic 9, what I would just focus on are these following things. First of all, if you are doing a quadratic equation, make sure it says ax squared plus bx plus c equals 0. You can then graph that left side to get the solutions. If you're in factored form, x plus p times x plus q equals 0, set each one equal to 0 and solve for your x values. When you complete the square, you have to remember the b over 2 squared part. And that's basically it for topic 9. And then again, just use Desmos. Desmos, Desmos, Desmos.